Hello, hello, and welcome everybody to the talk table tonight. Tonight we are talking about your money. We're talking about personal finance and a certain angle towards it than what you usually hear about, because usually we talk about how to manage your money and how to make a budget, but there are other things we need to be talking about your money that we usually don't. So today we're going to do just that. We're going to talk about your personal finances, and we're going to talk about insurance, because that's a big part in your personal finances, and also other things that surround that. So I'm going to bring on my first guest, who is Debra Mighty. She's an insurance agent in New York City. She's a professional in that area, and she's going to tell us all about it. Let's bring on the show. Good evening, Debra Mighty. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Just for our viewers, just tell us about yourself. Like, what do you do and why?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur by heart, so I'm always working on my own projects. But I have worked in the legal field for almost 25 years, being a legal assistant. I've been called a paralegal, and I've also done things such as I'm a signing agent, a notary public,
Mhm.
and yeah, other little jobs. Also, the treasurer of my church at this present time.
Awesome, awesome. Dealing with the money. That's
Yes.
what I like. So you're also an insurance agent, and a lot of times we overlook the value of insurance. If you can tell us, why should we have insurance?
Well, insurance is putting aside or buying a product that will help you, not you, maybe a family in the future
Hmm.
financially. Usually people think of this for insurance just for burial, but there's other reasons to get insurance also. Um, you might have children and they might, if something happens to you, you want to be able to make sure maybe you could provide for their college. It might be have a home that's not fully paid for, and you thinking if something happens to you, what will your spouse do, or what will your family do? So there's different reasons people get insurance, but insurance is important.
Yeah, as you know, I'm also in business and finance. I tell people, when you're fixing your finances, it's not just about making a budget. It's not just about paying down debt. I mean, all that's great. That's important also. But you have to put aside something for your family in case something should happen to you. Because if you should die, they're going to be sad, you know, and then the bills come and there's nothing, they're going to be mad after
Mhm.
being sad, right? So you lose twice if you don't have insurance. So I always
Right,
tell people,
because
just get it.
their part of the income will be missing. And also now, it's so sad. You see a lot of this going on. People are sending around these things to help people, prepare, help do homegoing services for their family members.
Hmm.
And, we have an opportunity to start saving from when our children are young, to start little policies for them so that when they turn a certain age, we can turn the policy over to them. At least, we'll know that we put aside money just in case something happens, or if maybe they need money in the future for something. So insurance is really important. But there's different types of insurance
Right.
policies. There's term, there's whole, and you have to sit down, maybe not even with an agent, or even before you sit with an agent, write down why what are your needs. Are you only interested in your burial services or so forth, or are you thinking on long term, like leaving something for the family? Years ago, I read that that's where a lot of wealth was transferred through
Right.
insurance policies, but this is not done today, and it's really sad.
Yeah. It's really sad. So sometimes you may not have an inheritance to leave for the family, but you can have insurance to leave, right?
Yes.
It sounds like a morbid topic, but it's reality, right? We just have to deal with it. If you can explain a little bit about the different types of insurance, like what's term, what's full, you know.
Well, term is usually for a certain amount of time. It's usually 10 years, 20 years, maybe 30 years. So imagine if you have a term policy and you live out, say, 20 years of paying into this term policy. When that time is up, there's no more benefit to you because it was a term policy. It ended and now that's over. But if you have a whole life policy, those are usually for longer terms, and it's creating value throughout its time. So with a whole life policy, you can borrow against it. You can, have it designated for different things that you want to make sure that's done through it. So it's just about planning properly. What are you looking for? What's your family structure? What do you want to leave behind, if anything? And then, work out the insurance policy in that way. Because, there's different types, term, hold, and so forth.
Yeah. I'm just going to show a graphic of whole life insurance, some of the pros and cons, because I actually like whole life. I have one myself. So you agree with this. It builds equity, guaranteed growth, accessible cash value, dividends. So I like that part of it because whatever I do, I try to make sure I make sure my money makes more money for me. That's
right.
Right. And there's an initial premium cost. And so they're the pros and cons, but like anything else, it has its pros and cons. But
there's benefits to it. So, there's cons to it also, but the benefits, I believe, outweigh the cons, because you always can have access somewhat to it if you want to use part of it, borrow against it. A lot of times things come up in life that we didn't plan for. And if you needed money or cash and you had a policy, you could, tap into that. So that's a benefit of having a whole life policy.
Yeah, in fact, when you borrow against it, in fact, your whole life policy is generating interest and also dividends. When you borrow against it, you pay back yourself with interest, so you're making even more money.
Right.
Because sometimes if we don't do that, we just spend the money wildly and we give the banks the interest when we could be giving it to ourselves.
That's right. Yes, so true.
Awesome. So we're talking about personal finance and how we should manage it. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about something else along the same lines that has to do with wills. All right. So we're going to be right back, and we're going to talk about wills.
Imagine what it's really like to be wealthy, to live in your dream home, drive your dream car, and to have the financial freedom to live life on your terms. You're probably thinking, sounds great, but that lifestyle is reserved for only an elite few. But what if I told you that you could be wealthy too? What if I told you that the only thing that separates you from great wealth is access to the right information and the right guidance? And what if I told you there's a team of financial experts with an affordable and realistic way to help you build wealth in record time? You'd want to know more, right? Welcome to MWR Financial. We specialize in making wealth a reality for everyday people like you. We start by giving you unlimited access to our team of financial experts. They'll work with you to implement proven wealth-building strategies designed to increase your cash flow and save, grow, and protect your money tax-free. It's the exact formula the wealthy few have been using for years, and we want to share it with you. Our first goal is to increase your cash flow. We achieve this through our proven tax reduction, credit restoration, and debt elimination strategies. Our members save an average of $300 to $600 a month with our tax reduction strategies. Plus, our credit restoration and debt elimination experts help you add thousands of dollars to your monthly cash flow by reducing the amount of time spent in debt and paying interest. Welcome to the MWR Financial Family.
And we are back, and we are talking personal finance with Debra Mighty. She's an insurance agent and a paralegal, and she's going to tell us all we need to know about this particular area of our personal finances. So we talked about insurance before and why we need it. It's important. Now we're going to talk about the other bad thing that a lot of people don't like to talk about, and that's wills. What is a will?
Wills are written instructions of how you want to pass on your property at the time of your death. Sorry, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yes. In fact, a lot of people have the misconception that you have to be rich to leave a will, and that's not true. You can have $1 in the bank. You need to leave a will. Okay. So talk to us about that.
Well, they say if you're 18 or if you're 18, you're an adult and you should have a will. Mm-hmm. So they ask, well, why should you have a will? Because this is one way that you're confident that your instructions or what you want done will be done, because it's written down, and then you have an executor to carry out whatever the terms of the will are. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people like to say, well, my family knows what I want, but that doesn't mean anything. Once you're gone and your family can say that, oh, she wanted this, this, and that. But if it wasn't written down in a will, then the state gets to make decisions about what happens to your property, who it goes to, or, and you want control over what's yours.
Exactly.
So I think it's important for us to have wills. And I also heard recently that 90% of minorities at one time were losing property because they didn't have it written down in a will how they wanted it passed on. They was like, oh, it's supposed to go to me, or it's heirloom. But once you don't have it written down or how you want it distributed, the government can come in and take over and make choices that you may not be happy with.
Yeah, it's really sad. Like you said, a lot of minorities don't have wills, and a lot has to do with education. They just don't know about it, that they should have it. Like I said, in life insurance, you die, people will be sad. If you don't have life insurance, they're going to be mad. If you don't have a will, the family is going to get angry with each other because I was supposed to have the car, I was supposed to have the house. And no, if you have it on paper, then there's no argument.
That's right. That would save a lot of stress for some families. But one thing I found out, though, that even with the will, sometimes it could be difficult for families. But at least if you have it on paper, whether they agree or not, your will be done.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, and I also want to say this, revocable and irrevocable wills, because sometimes people who are sick, and they make out a will, but they may have a change of heart later. But there's revocable that you can make changes, but irrevocable that, no changes are to be made. Because sometimes, people have a mindset at one time, but later on, their mindset may change. But at least they did it at a good time and they were of sound mind. Their will be, set, and no one changes to that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, it's important to know that, yes, wills can be changed, and depending on your situation, they should be changed because, well, like you said, so circumstances may change. The person you might want to leave everything to may also change, and you may not want to leave anything to that person as well.
That's true, but I was mostly speaking about sometimes when, a person is of a sound mind right now
Hmm.
and they want to make a irrevocable will because later on, health changes and mindset, but they know this is what I want. So if you
Right.
make it irrevocable, then it's not to be changed.
That's right.
Also, I want to talk about the fact that people say whether or not you need an attorney to prepare a will.
Right.
Um, some people write out their last will and testament on paper and, leave it around or leave it for their family. But that is a valid will, but there's two things that you need to make sure that you have: witnesses, preferably two, and hopefully to have it notarized in front of a notary public. I was recently talking to someone and said, "Oh yeah, I have my will all written out." And I asked them, "Well, did you have witnesses?" It wasn't notarized, and they said no. And I said, "I think you better do those steps because you don't want anybody to, protest it and so forth. But once it's a legal document, once it has witnesses and it is notarized." Also, it's important that you let people know that you have one and where it is. Some people say, "Oh, I have one in my drawer, in my tin box." Some people there who have it done by an attorney, the attorney keeps a copy in his, vault or whatever.
Right.
But it's important that we let people know what we have. Tell your family members, "I do have a will and it's such and it's here," because that's important. A lot of people have those things and people die, and then people don't know that
Right.
they have these things. They don't know that they had insurance, or they didn't know that they have a will, and because they can't find it, and then the
Hmm.
person is making them. Mhm.
Yeah, I usually tell some of my clients to have a fireproof and waterproof safe in the house. They're not very expensive. You need to have one of those. And scan the will and have it in your email or your Google Drive, because things can get lost, things can get damaged,
Mhm.
right? And that has your signature on it, and it's a very important document. And if you lose it, you're back to square one, people fighting, right? So you have to leave it in a safe place. Um, Incidentally, you actually do that as a business. You provide those services. So I'm going to put your information on the screen and just tell us about what you do.
Well, I have been a trust and estate attorney assistant. I haven't been an attorney, but I've been a legal assistant to those people for so long. I have prepared several people's wills, and I have been the executrix for a few of them. So I have a pretty good idea of what it entails. So I like to help people in that area. Sometimes people feel like it's costly to have an
Mhm.
attorney prepare one, and it can be, but it's simple. You can do one. You can look online and look up New York State last will and testament. They'll give you a draft of one.
Mhm.
So you can do that. So I do think if you have major assets like homes, cars, business, you should get an attorney to prepare it. But if it's not, not difficult, if you don't have many assets, or to draft up one or look online, or even call someone like myself who has a little experience in helping people prepare those kind of documents.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I agree with you with the technology. You can go online and you can download a will, but I prefer if they talk to people like you, because sometimes you may not know what to think about to add in the will. You may not know how to structure the will in such a way that it doesn't leave ambiguity between exactly what you want to be done after you're gone. So I prefer if people actually talk to you.
So there are steps like, if you came to me, I would give you a thing to write out what your assets are, your family members, and so forth. And then we work together to put it together. And then, like I said, I am a notary and I can people, and I can even help people, the heirs, the family afterwards, because sometimes if you don't have a large estate, you don't want to pay an attorney a large sum when you can walk to I can, give you instructions. You can go to the county clerk's office. You can file the person's death certificate. You can start, doing some things on your own, which would be helpful to save money. But I'm just saying that's if, again, if you have many assets, you do want an attorney to help you, work it out properly on paper. But if not, I've seen families who have spent money when they didn't have to. They could have went to the county clerk's office, got instructions, or so forth, or speak to someone like myself. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I want to emphasize, because the biggest misconception, you don't just make a will after you're rich, okay? Because you may have $5 in the bank, but you don't know how much you're going to have tomorrow, next week. You begin a business and it's doing well, so make the will in such a way that whatever you have in the future goes to whomever you would like it to go to, because you just don't know.
Yes, and that's true, because today we have a lot of blended families. People have, stepchildren or so forth. They want to include them, but it's important that it's on paper, because sometimes things may happen and, certain people are left out, not on purpose, but because you didn't prepare, you didn't put it on paper that, this is part of my family, or you want to leave something, for someone else who's not in your family, but they're important to you. That's the importance of having it all written down.
Yeah, we're just getting some comments online as well. Yeah, I can't stress that enough. People need to go out there and get a will. You will thank us later. Anything else you want to add as we wrap up?
Well, I wanted to talk about the healthcare proxy.
Oh, yes.
Yes. It's important that we have one, because the state allows us to appoint an agent in case we are unable to make decisions for ourselves in regards to our health. Things happen, and then, right away, someone else is going to be making decisions for you. So you want to get someone who you know and trust, who will handle, your healthcare decisions as you have discussed with them. My mother always says, "Oh, I don't want to be left on anything, keeping me alive." And I was like, "Mom, you need to have it, written down." So we did fill out the healthcare proxy. Your agent needs to know your wishes, whether you want your organs donated and so forth. So this is very important. They've also had many times when they've had people in court fighting over who makes the decision, whether or not to, leave them on, on a healthcare, what is it? Leave them on the respirator and so forth. But if you have a healthcare proxy and you have it written out what your instructions are, then that is your decision. It's already on paper.
Yeah, and again, this is the reason why we're talking about this part of personal finances because the time that we live in, especially with the coronavirus. So it's a horrible time and things can happen really fast. All right. So that's why this is very important. For those who don't know, the healthcare proxy, as you said, allows you to have someone make decisions while you're alive. Okay. Before we're talking about life insurance, we're talking about a will, that's after you die. But this is while you're alive, but you're in the hospital and you can't talk because you have this thing down your throat to keep you alive. So,
or you may be unconscious.
Or you may be unconscious.
You know, and you want your wishes known, or at least you want the right person making decisions for you.
Mm-hmm. We have a question from one of our viewers. What age should you get a healthcare proxy?
You should be 18 years old. You're considered an adult. You can make decisions. So as soon as you can, as you turn of age, get one because anything can happen at any time.
Yeah. If you're under 18, of course, your parents will make decisions on your behalf. But over 18. Mm-hmm. All right. That was awesome. And again, you know, I just keep going back and going back. We need, again, a lot of minorities don't do these things. They don't get life insurance. They think it's too expensive. They don't make a will, and they don't get healthcare proxies. And I'm trying to send the word out there that these are things you should budget for. They're very important. It saves a lot of pain further down the road, right? No one knows what's going to happen. This was something really bad.
Life is better too when you take care of the important things early.
Yes.
Because, you know, sometimes people go through a lot of stress unnecessarily. But if we had prepared some of these things like a will or a healthcare proxy, it could have such a reverse effect on some people's lives.
Yes. I'm going to say an experience that a person had. It sounds really bad, but it's reality. She had a son who was always getting into trouble, gangs, doing all sorts of stuff. And her insurance agent told her, as horrible as this may sound, you need to take out life insurance on him. So because of his lifestyle, so that if anything should happen to him, you'll be taken care of. And she did. And unfortunately, the gang life took him out. He was killed. And, you know, it sounds horrible, but this is life. This is life. You could only be in a position where the cost of a funeral is very expensive, right? And you love your son and he's doing bad things or whatever, but you'll feel even worse if you can't give him a proper burial or anything else. So it sounds bad, but it's important.
And as I was speaking before, I didn't say, but the GoFundMes, you know, they're all over now, you know, and I was like, wow, if people had prepared, we would see less of those, you know, and that's not a memory that you want lingering on, you know, that you had to do one of those to prepare services for someone that you love, you know.
And a GoFundMe is great, but they're not all successful. A lot of people think they are, but it's not about it's not a scam or anything. It's just that for a GoFundMe campaign to be successful, you need a lot of people to rally around you to contribute. And if you didn't do your networking properly and get the word out, and you would not get any help, right? It's not automatic, right?
Yeah, but even doing that is stressful.
And it's stressful, exactly.
So if we can take little steps now to prepare for, you know, something that may happen later, our lives would be better, I believe.
Awesome. All right. Well, this has been a great talk, important talk, and we thank you for coming on. I believe you had some other companies you wanted to promote?
Yes, I wanted to highlight Mundo Tax Services. She is a professional tax expert. She helps people with, prepare. She does tax returns, help people get compromises and so forth, and just helps with your planning if you need her to. She's also a life insurance agent, and I just think she's a good person to have, in your like your phone book.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So thanks for watching, everyone. You've been talking with, we've been talking with Debra Mighty, life insurance agent, and she's also there to help you with your will. And give her a call. Her information is at the bottom. She will steer in the right direction. This is something we all need. All three areas. So give her a call. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, and I'm happy that you are on, giving important information on important topics that we need to know about. Keep up the good work.
Thanks. All right, everyone. Have a good evening. Thanks for viewing.
Okay.
Imagine what it's really like to be wealthy, to live in your dream home, drive your dream car, and to have the financial freedom to live life on your terms. You're probably thinking, sounds great, but that lifestyle is reserved for only an elite few. But what if I told you that you could be wealthy too? What if I told you that the only thing that separates you from great wealth is access to the right information and the right guidance? And what if I told you there's a team of financial experts with an affordable and realistic way to help you build wealth in record time? You'd want to know more, right? Welcome to MWR Financial. We specialize in making wealth a reality for everyday people like you. We start by giving you unlimited access to our team of financial experts. They'll work with you to implement proven wealth-building strategies designed to increase your cash flow and save, grow, and protect your money tax-free. It's the exact formula the wealthy few have been using for years, and we want to share it with you. Our first goal is to increase your cash flow. We achieve this through our proven tax reduction, credit restoration, and debt elimination strategies. Our members save an average of $300 to $600 a month with our tax reduction strategies. Plus, our credit restoration and debt elimination experts help you add thousands of dollars to your monthly cash flow by reducing the amount of time spent in debt and paying interest. Welcome to the MWR Financial Family.